An alien girl accidentally messed up his shirt, and offered the Jack Carter to wash it, which turned into much more than he could not imagined. In the vast expanse of space, where stars glitter like scattered diamonds and silence reigns beyond the hull, life inside a station is anything but quiet. The cosmic, that's what they called it. A sprawling, multi-level diner orbiting a mining colony in Sector 12. A place where cultures collided, where smells of alien spices tangled with the familiar comfort of coffee, and where every being had a story. Jack Carter never liked this place. Not because it wasn't lively, it was too lively. Too bright, too loud, too crowded with things that didn't belong to Earth. Jack was a man of simple tastes. A warm meal, a cold drink, and maybe 5 minutes of peace before heading back to the ship. That was all he wanted. But today, fate had other plans. Jack stepped through the automated doors, boots echoing against the polished floor. The scent of something savory hit him, probably Guarani stew, heavy on the plasma peppers. He loosened his jacket, scanning the bustling diner. Aliens of every shape and shade filled the booths. Neon menus hovered in midair, scrolling in half a dozen languages he couldn't read. He sighed, running a hand through his hair. Just grab a tray, sit down, and eat. That was the plan. No eye contact, no conversation. And then, he saw her. She was standing at the far end of the room, laughing, a clear, melodic sound that rose above the chatter. Skin like emerald glass, smooth and radiant under the diner lights. Her hair spilled down her back like threads of liquid silver. And that smile, warm, alive, too alive for a place made of metal. Jack looked away instantly. Not his business. Not his problem. He ordered something quick, protein noodles, a syntheg roll, and coffee. He paid, grabbed the tray, and started toward an empty booth by the viewport. And that's when the warning alarm chirped, grav stability compromised, hold position. Too late. The floor tilted just enough to throw him off balance. His tray lurched forward, noodles and coffee lifting into the air. He stumbled, trying to catch it. And collided with something soft. Someone soft. There was a gasp, a splash, and then chaos. Coffee splattered across his shirt, noodles spinning lazily in 0G before slapping back down onto the table nearby. Jack groaned, looking down, and froze. It was her. The green-skinned alien girl. She stared at him, eyes like polished emeralds, wide with shock. Then, instead of anger, her lips curved into a bright, amused smile. Lyra Venn, oh, well, that was unexpected. Jack muttered under his breath, wiping at his soaked shirt. Damn it. I'm sorry. I didn't see. She laughed again, a light, musical sound that made something twist in his chest. Lyra Venn, no, it was my fault. I should have, her gaze drifted down to his shirt, now stained with dark coffee and broth. Her expression softened. You're soaked. Jack, yeah. I noticed. He sighed, pinching the fabric. The coffee was already seeping in, and out here in deep space, laundry wasn't exactly convenient. Lyra Venn, let me fix it. Jack blinked. What? Lyra Venn, your shirt. It's ruined. But I can make it right. Jack shook his head, already backing up a step. That's not necessary. Really. But she wasn't listening. She tilted her head, silver hair shimmering as she studied him. Then she smiled, a slow, almost mischievous smile that sent a strange chill down his spine. Lyra Venn, it's no trouble at all, human. Jack swallowed hard, suddenly aware of how close she was standing. Too close. Her scent was strange, sharp yet sweet, like some alien flower blooming in the dark. He cleared his throat and stepped back. I'll handle it. Thanks. She frowned, just slightly. But then her smile returned, softer this time. Lyra Venn, at least let me try." Before Jack could protest, she reached out, her hand brushing lightly against his sleeve. Her fingers were warm, too warm. He froze, heart thudding, as her emerald eyes met his. And for the briefest moment, it felt like the whole diner disappeared. Pause for dramatic beat. But then the moment broke. Jack stepped back, shaking his head. "Jack, no. Really. It's fine." She tilted her head again, curiosity dancing in her gaze. And then she smiled, a small, secret smile that made him uneasy. "Lyra Venn, very well, for now." Narrator tone resumes. Jack left the diner that day with a ruined shirt and a strange feeling in his chest. He told himself it was nothing. Just an accident. Just a weird alien being weird. But deep down, he knew, this wasn't over. Jack didn't realize it yet, but that single moment, that spilled coffee, was the first crack in the life he thought he had under control. Jack thought that would be the end of it. He really did. After all, a diner accident at a busy station wasn't exactly unusual. People bumped into each other all the time in the cosmic. You apologized, you cleaned up, you moved on. That was the way of things. And Jack wanted to move on. He had no time for distractions. Especially not ones with green skin and eyes like polished emerald. But fate had a sense of humor. 2 days later, Jack was back in the station's maintenance wing, double-checking the grav stabilizers after the last failure. Sweat clung to his brow, and his hands were grimy from pulling out burnt couplers. The hum of the station surrounded him, a sound he'd grown used to over years of deep space work. He was tired. Bone tired. His shift had run long, and his only thought was food and a shower before collapsing into bed. He left the maintenance bay, walked the long, curved corridors toward the cosmic again. Big mistake. She was there. Lyra Venn. Standing near the entrance like she'd been waiting for him. Jack froze. His first instinct was to turn around and pretend he hadn't seen her. But it was too late, she'd already noticed him. Her eyes lit up, and that same radiant smile spread across her face. "Lyra Venn, Jack." He cursed under his breath. "Jack, how do you know my name?" She tilted her head, silver hair spilling over her shoulder like molten moonlight. "Lyra Venn, I asked around." It wasn't difficult. Jack frowned. "That's unsettling." "Lyra Venn, I wanted to make things right." She gestured toward his chest. "Your shirt." Jack looked down at the stain. He hadn't bothered replacing the jacket, supply shipments were late, and he hated wasting credits on clothing. The dark smear across the fabric was still there, an ugly reminder. "Jack, I told you, don't worry about it." She stepped closer. Too close again. "Lyra Venn, please. Let me." Jack sighed, rubbing the back of his neck. "You're persistent. Lyra Venn, among my people, we do not leave debts unpaid." Jack gave a short laugh, shaking his head. "It's not a debt. It's a shirt. Lyra Venn, it matters to me." Her voice softened, almost pleading. And those eyes, bright, unblinking, searching his face like she could see through the walls he'd built. Jack hesitated. He should say no. He wanted to say no. But something, curiosity, maybe, made him pause. "Jack, how, exactly, are you planning to clean it?" Lyra's smile widened, revealing small, gleaming teeth. "Lyra Venn, come with me. I'll show you." Jack knew this was a bad idea. Every nerve in his body told him to walk away, to head back to his quarters and forget this whole thing ever happened. But instead, he followed her. Lyra led him through the crowded diner, then out into one of the station's quieter corridors. The hum of voices faded, replaced by the low thrum of engines and the occasional hiss of air recyclers. They passed glowing panels etched with alien script, doors sliding open to reveal glimpses of strange rooms filled with floating crystals and soft, pulsating light. Finally, she stopped before a curved door marked with symbols Jack didn't recognize. It slid open soundlessly. Inside, the room was nothing like he expected. It wasn't a bedroom, not exactly. More like a sanctuary. The walls glowed faintly with bioluminescent vines, casting the room in shades of blue and green. Soft, translucent curtains hung from the ceiling, swaying gently as if moved by an unseen breeze. In the center, a shallow pool shimmered with liquid that wasn't water. It glowed softly, rippling like molten glass. Jack stared. What is this? Lyra Ven, a cleansing chamber. Jack raised a brow. For clothes. Her smile returned, mysterious and slow. Lyra Ven, for more than clothes. Jack swallowed hard, suddenly aware of how quiet the room was. How close she was. How the air smelled, sweet, sharp, intoxicating. Lyra stepped closer, reaching up to unfasten his jacket. Jack caught her hand, heart hammering. Jack, wait. She tilted her head, eyes wide, innocent, or maybe not. Lyra Ven, what is wrong? Jack, I can take it off myself. Her smile deepened, like she knew a secret he didn't. He shrugged out of the jacket and handed it to her. She took it gently, fingers brushing his as she moved toward the pool. She knelt, dipping the fabric into the glowing liquid. The stains vanished instantly, like ink in water. The jacket emerged spotless, dry, as if it had never been touched. Jack stared. That's impressive. Lyra Ven, it is the least I could do. She held out the jacket, but didn't let go when he tried to take it. Instead, her voice dropped, soft as a whisper. Lyra Ven, you are far from home, Jack Carter. Far from the ones you love. His breath caught. Jack, how do you know? Lyra Ven, I can see it in your eyes. The longing. The ache. He stepped back, heart pounding. This was a mistake. But she didn't move. Didn't stop smiling. Lyra Ven, perhaps. Or perhaps it was fate. Narrator closes scene, tension high. Jack turned and walked out without another word, jacket clutched in his hands, pulse roaring in his ears. But as the door slid shut behind him, he heard her voice, soft, almost tender. Lyra Ven, we are not done, human. Jack didn't know why those words sent a chill through him. Maybe because a part of him hoped they were true. Jack told himself it meant nothing. Just a shirt. Just a strange alien with strange customs. But deep inside, something had already begun. Jack told himself it was over. He told himself a lot of things. That night, back in his quarters, he replayed the scene in his head more times than he cared to admit, the glow of her chamber, the way her voice slid into his thoughts like smoke, the heat in her eyes when she said, fate. He didn't believe in fate. He believed in engines, in circuits, in things he could touch and fix. Not in destiny. Not in, whatever that was. Still, when he closed his eyes, he saw her. Jack sat on the edge of his bunk, jacket folded neatly beside him, clean as the day he'd bought it. His terminal blinked softly, waiting for a response to the message he'd ignored for hours. A message from home. He tapped the screen, and there they were. His wife's face filled the display, soft brown hair pulled back, a tired smile that still warmed him across the void. Behind her, two small shapes darted in and out of frame, giggling. His kids. His world. Hey, love. Just checking in. The kids miss you. I miss you. Don't work too hard, okay? We're proud of you. Always. The message ended. The silence that followed was deafening. Jack leaned forward, pressing his hands to his face. What the hell was he doing? He stayed in his quarters the next day. Skipped the diner. Ate from the ration dispenser instead. Just to avoid seeing her. But by day 3, he had to leave. Work didn't wait for guilt to fade. Jack finished his shift in the engine bay, grease under his nails, exhaustion tugging at his bones. He told himself he'd grab a quick meal and head straight back. That plan lasted all of 10 seconds. Because she was there. Standing near the entrance of the cosmic, like a hunter waiting for prey. Lyra Venn. Her emerald skin shimmered under the neon lights, her silver hair braided now, cascading over one shoulder like liquid starlight. And when she saw him, oh, that smile. Bright. Warm. Too warm. Jack's stomach nodded. Jack, under his breath, damn it. He turned, hoping to slip away unnoticed. Lyra Venn, Jack. Too late. Her voice carried across the diner like music, drawing more than a few stares. Jack froze, then slowly turned as she approached, every movement fluid, graceful. Jack, you've been looking for me. Lyra Venn, I told you, we were not done. He sighed. Look, about the other day. Lyra Venn, you left so quickly. I worried you were displeased. Jack gave a short, humorless laugh. Displeased? No. Confused? Yeah. Her eyes softened. Lyra Venn, you are unlike anyone I have ever met. Jack held up a hand. Stop. Just, stop. Lyra Venn, why? Jack, because I'm married. The words came out sharp, like a blade cutting through the tension. And for a moment, she stilled. Then her lips curved into that infuriating smile again. Lyra Venn, I know. Jack blinked. You know. Lyra Venn, I asked. Humans are fascinating. Your bonds, your devotion, so strong. So rare. Jack, then you understand why this, whatever this is, needs to stop. Her gaze locked on his, unwavering. Lyra Venn, does it? Jack clenched his jaw. Jack, yes. Lyra Venn, even when I can feel the truth in your pulse. His breath caught. What are you talking about? Lyra Venn, your heart. It speaks louder than words. Faster when I am near. Jack's fists tightened. You're imagining things. Lyra Venn, am I? She stepped closer, voice dropping to a whisper only he could hear. When you lie awake, who do you see? Jack's chest burned. He opened his mouth, but no words came out. He left. Didn't look back. Just shoved past the sliding doors, heart pounding like a war drum. All the way back to his quarters, her words echoed in his head. When you lie awake, who do you see? The days that followed were worse. Everywhere he went, corridors, lifts, even the observation deck, she was there. Not by accident. He could feel it. Sometimes she didn't speak. Just watched him from a distance, her expression unreadable. Other times, she left small offerings outside his door. Strange blossoms that glowed faintly in the dark. Pieces of crystal that chimed when touched. Tokens from her world. Jack tried to ignore them. Tossed them in the recycler. But each time, guilt gnawed deeper. Not just guilt for what she wanted, but for the part of him that wanted it too. Late at night, he'd stare at the terminal, at the smiling faces in his messages from home. His wife. His children. His everything. And then, he'd remember the look in Lyra's eyes. Not just desire. Something else. Something raw. Need. Jack told himself he could handle it. That he was stronger than temptation. But in the cold silence of space, where stars burned and loneliness pressed in from every angle, strength was just another word. And Lyra Venn? She wasn't giving up. Pause for dramatic impact. Narrator. The hunt had begun. And Jack Carter was the prey. That night, when the knock came at his door, Jack knew everything was about to change. Jack had been strong. Stronger than most, maybe. For days, he'd avoided her. Dodged her eyes in crowded corridors. Shut his door tight against the small gifts that still appeared like whispers of temptation in the night. And each time he saw her, each time those emerald eyes found him across the station, he told himself the same thing: no. No, because he loved his wife. No, because he had children waiting for him on earth. No, because this wasn't who he was. But that night, the night the knock came, everything changed. Jack sat on his bunk, boots off, uniform half open, exhaustion clawing at his bones. The hum of the station felt louder tonight, pressing in through the walls like a heartbeat that wasn't his. He stared at the message on his terminal, his wife's latest recording. Her smile filled the screen, soft and tired but still full of love. "I know you're working hard out there. Just, come home safe, okay? We're counting the days." The message ended. Jack's throat tightened. He reached for the small photo clipped to the edge of the console, him, his wife, the kids, all grinning under a blue sky that felt like another lifetime. That's who he was. That's what mattered. And then came the sound. A knock. Soft. Barely there. Jack froze. Another knock, gentle, deliberate. He didn't need to ask who it was. He already knew. For a long time, he just sat there, staring at the door like it was some predator waiting to strike. He should ignore it. Let her knock until she gave up and vanished back into whatever world she came from. But instead, he stood. His hand hovered over the door panel, trembling just enough for him to notice. One press. One decision. The door slid open. And there she was. Lyra Venn stood in the doorway, draped in flowing fabric that shimmered like starlight, shifting between hues of deep green and silver. Her hair spilled loose down her back, gleaming under the soft corridor lights. Her eyes met his, bright and unblinking, and in them, no mischief now. No games. Just something raw. Need. Lyra Venn, soft Jack. His name left her lips like a prayer. Jack swallowed hard. You shouldn't be here. Lyra Venn, and yet. I am. He wanted to speak, wanted to tell her to leave, to never come back. But the words tangled in his throat. Because when she stepped forward, when the faint scent of her reached him, sweet, sharp, like flowers that only bloomed under alien moons, his resolve began to crack. Jack told himself this was wrong. That opening the door had already crossed a line. That if he let her in, there'd be no going back. But when she touched his hand, just a brush of warm fingers against his, something inside him gave way. It wasn't love. He knew that. It was something darker, hungrier. Something that had been gnawing at the edges of his soul for months out here in the cold black of space. Loneliness. He let her in. The door slid shut behind them with a sound that felt too final. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Just stood there, staring, like two stars locked in a gravity well, doomed to collide. Jack reached up, meaning to push her away, to say something that might save what little was left of his sense of honor. But when his hands touched her shoulders, they didn't push. They pulled. And when her lips met his, soft and strange and desperate, Jack didn't resist. What happened after wasn't words. Wasn't thought. Just heat and motion and the hollow sound of a man falling deeper than he ever meant to go.